Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Glad to be back. Haven't been on for a few weeks due to COVID and Christmas, but another professional boxer on the channel. Delighted to be joined by Jordan Purkiss. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thank you. I'm glad that we got through our technical problems there. I didn't think it was going to happen tonight, but we had, honestly, mate, so many issues last year. I thought this year might be better for us, but technology seems to still hate us. But yeah, thank you for coming on. We've wanted to get you on for a little while now.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, cheers for having me on.
No, that's right. Just before we sort of get into it, how was your Christmas and New Year?
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed myself because obviously I fought not long ago, so I was allowed to enjoy my Christmas, which was one of the first ones for a while, to be honest. So yeah, it was good. What about you?
Yeah, it's all good, thank you. Well, as you know, I got COVID just before Christmas, so it got me out a bit. I had mild symptoms, so I was quite fortunate in that respect. But it got me out of a bit of Christmas shopping, and I finished my isolation period, so I could see family, because obviously last year was a bit of a write-off.
Yeah.
What about your New Year? Do you celebrate much? Did you have a quiet one or?
We went back to training last week, so I couldn't go crazy or anything, but I just spent it with my girlfriend and my mum because last minute plans and everything went muddled up. A few of my friends got coronavirus, so we couldn't do anything, so stayed in.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems like everyone's seems to be getting it in a minute. But yeah, Happy New Year to you, mate. And
thank you, and you.
Yeah, obviously now in 2022, but I just wanted to really sort of go back over last year. You made massive year for you. You made your professional debut. I think it was in September, as you mentioned. Then you fought again in November. So for yourself, sort of reflecting on last year, talk to me about
that. So literally about a year ago, I decided to get back into boxing because I gave up when I was 22. I thought last year I see a lot of people that was pro at my weight or gone up a few weights, and I thought they're doing well, and I know that I was the same as them. So I thought I'll get back into it. I started training with my old amateur gym, and then there was a bit of politics, shall we say, and they didn't allow any pros to train there. So I started training on my own, and then luckily my trainer's friend, he said, I know someone that will train you. He's a good trainer. He's got some good pros. Go there. So we went there, and after 2 months, I had my debut, which was September. And then we carried on training after that. And then I just got the okay to go to Kazakhstan. So I thought, why not take it, go there? And then, that was last month. So, now it's 2022. Got a big year ahead. So straight away back to training, push hard for the next fight.
Yeah, no, 100%, mate. We've spoken a few times before, obviously you coming on the channel tonight, and you seem to have quite a sort of a clear plan in your head and with what you want to do.
Yeah.
But going back to last year, I know you mentioned a few of your friends were turning over. How difficult was it for you, getting back into it and obviously turning over to a pro?
See, to be honest with you, everything happened really, really quickly. I was expecting for a very long process, but I just started running to get my fitness up, lost a lot of weight, and then literally, as soon as I got my license, there was almost a date for me to fight. So it was something to aim towards. It went quickly. I missed all of the coronavirus that was happening. Everyone had troubles not getting fights, but I joined when fights were allowed. So it was like coronavirus was non-existent to me. So I just got the ball rolling, got a fight date, went through with it, and then now we're here.
Yeah, someone we both know, Mr. Jack Hughes. We've spoken to him a few times on the channel, and he's spoken about his disappointment when fights are being cancelled due to COVID and different reasons. So for yourself, I suppose it's been a bit of a blessing in that respect. You've not had to sort of put yourself through camp and then to find out your opponent's got COVID, or the main or someone fighting on the main the main event's got COVID, so the whole show goes. So how are you finding it then, being a pro training?
I love it, honestly. Like, my mum says this is the happiest she's seen me. I train 6 days a week, sometimes 2-3 times a day, and can't fault the life. It's a blessing in disguise, really. I'm glad that I've made the decision to be 100% committed and just going for everything now. So yeah.
What made you stop?
When I was 22, it was in the amateurs. They don't teach you how to lose weight. They don't teach you that it's all. There's too much politics involved. There's too many egos and everything like that. So for me, it was like, oh, I've done all of that. I've done sport, so I thought like, I'd give it a miss. I started like going out with my friends, enjoying myself, and then literally that was it. I just stopped, and then 3 years out, and then come back when I was 25, and now I'm 26.
Yeah, talking to you as well, it seems like there's a lot of talk between the difference of amateur boxing and pro boxing, but I know you said before, you feel like your style is, really suited to the pro game.
Yeah, much more. I had a lot of power in the amateurs, and trying to do that sort of style in the amateurs can only get you so far, because a lot of the people they want to see is out boxing, like tap tap tap, which is I can't do that. I got heavy hands, so it's all about the power and movement. You don't have to rush things in the pro game, which is so much better.
No, absolutely. So your two fights in 2-0.
Yep.
Going back to last year as well in November when you had the last fight. I know you went on the road.
December.
December, sorry. How was that fighting away? Because I'd imagine it was quite a hostile environment. How did you find that whole process?
To be honest with you, it was the opposite. It was unreal experience. The hospitality, everything. They couldn't fault it. As I said to my trainer, if you look at Kazakhstan in a brochure, you're never going to pick to go there. But because of boxing, we get to go there, and it was unreal. I'd go there again. The people are friendly. Obviously, the language barrier is very difficult, but the people are friendly. They're trying to give you everything that they can. They want you to succeed, regardless if you're from England or Kazakhstan. There's a lot of people there that was very supportive of me and my trainer. They would want to pick us up. They'd want to take us places because they want to show off their country. They're proud of their country. And obviously, I didn't think about getting not the decision or things like that. But once I'd fought, a lot of people said to me, "Oh, you fought in his backyard. If it was close, he would have got the decision." But I never thought of that. I came there to win. I came there to show everyone what I'm capable of. I wanted to go out of my comfort zone because I wouldn't have had no friends and no family. And if I can do that now, imagine what I can do in 2 years, 1 year's time.
No, I totally agree. I feel like you going on the road is probably an invaluable lesson, in time. Like you say, there wasn't obviously a lot of you that went over, you're fighting in someone else's backyard. But I think from speaking to you before the fight as well, you were very clear you weren't going there to get a points win, because, we often see if the home fighter, wins, by a point or so, that probably means they've actually lost. But you were very clear, you were going there for the stoppage.
Yeah, that was it. I know I'm very strong. I know I've got a lot of power. I've always had that through the amateurs, and everyone that I spar say that I hit hard. So I knew that I had it there. It was just whether I could get it done or not. And then obviously knocked him down, I think twice in the fourth, and then I think once in the fifth. I'm not certain. I can't really remember, but I knew even from as soon as we touched gloves and we started, I landed probably about 5 jabs before he even threw a shot, and I already knew that it was my fight, because normally when you do that, straight away someone wants to fire back, or they want you to know that they're there, so that it's not a walk in the park. But he didn't do anything to show me that, so I already knew it was mine for the taking. So that's when I carried on.
So you made your intentions quite clearly from the offset. You come across incredibly mentally tough. You're only 2 fights into your professional career. Where does that come from?
No idea. I've just done sport my whole life. That's all I've been really good at. So I've always been mentally strong, knew how to block things out, because there's always people that doubt you and things like that. So I knew that this is what you got to do. You got to do everything you can. So I just been like that for a long time. Yeah.
And what about the physical side of it? Your preparation, your camp before you went out.
Yeah, we had so after my first fight, I literally had 2 days off, and then camp pretty much started. So I just stayed fit, stayed strong the whole way through. I had good sparring. I've had good sparring. I keep getting people asking me for sparring now. So that it can only be a good thing that people want to spar me. So therefore, I know for when the next fight, I'll have everything that I can get to be the best that I can be.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that speaks volumes. Well, you know, I'm going to come on and speak about your sparring, because I know you've been in with a lot of strong fighters. You know, you've sparred with Dennis McCann. I know you've done a few rounds with Jack Hughes as well. What have you taken away from that?
I think, to be honest with you, sparring Dennis McCann and Adnan Mohammed, like my coach says, since I sparred them, it brought me on massively. I know that they're a little bit heavier and a little bit bigger, but sparring people like that, you're going to learn massively. And then as soon as I sparred them, started sparring people my weight, it not became easy, but it was like they're not them. So therefore, I can deal with what they've got. So it helped massively sparring people like that, because they've got power, they've got skill, they've got movement. So getting countered with shots, you've got to think a lot more. So once you come in with someone that's not at that level, it makes things, you can understand things a lot easier and quicker. So then you can put it all together when you're in sparring, to then put it in together when you fight.
No, of course, you know, I don't know how, you know, much you follow Conor Benn, but before the fight with Chris Algieri, he spoke about, you know, sparring with bigger guys, you know, 12 4-minute rounds, and he spoke about how much that benefited him. So for yourself, how, you know, going into, you know, your first couple of fights, how much did that help?
Oh, honestly, massively, because without that confidence boost as well, because that's what I think about myself. When people ask for sparring, obviously everyone always thinks, oh, what have they done? What have they achieved? But in my head, I don't think many people are going to achieve what Dennis McCann or Adnan Mohammed achieved when they was amateurs. Now look what they're doing as pros. So when I spar people my weight, I think, oh, they're not that level. So it's not as challenging, because I've already done what they've needed to do. So when I fight someone, I think they're not going to be as good as them, and I've been in the ring with them. So it makes your confidence go high as well, because these sort of people, look what they're achieving themselves. So if they can do that, and you think I can do that too.
Yeah, you know, you look at Dennis McCann, you know, he's a brilliant fighter. Is he? I think he's 11-0 now.
Yeah, 11-0.
You know, yeah, a brilliant fighter. I think he was on the undercard of the Anthony Yard towards the end of last year.
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, brilliant night. Brilliant main event as well. So yeah, going in and sparring him. When you're actually sparring people like that as well, how, I know you're going in there, you're trying to obviously learn your craft. How sort of hard are you trying? Is it like, you know, it depending on the other fighter as well? How does that sort
of course. Like in sparring, it's not a fight. Obviously, it's a fight, but I mean, you both there to learn, pick up on things, and you're both there to do things that, like, if you get caught with a shot, you got to try and do something that how you would counter that shot. So you're both obviously, and you're not there to knock someone out. I don't feel like in sparring, if you hurt someone, you don't usually jump on the gas pedal. But if you're in a fight, you'll jump on it to try and hurt them and get them out of there. In sparring, if you hurt them and they stop, then you've wasted your sparring. If you only got 2 rounds in, it's pointless. Because if you're doing 6 or whatever you're doing, you need to get them rounds, because if the fight goes a distance and you haven't done it, then you're ruined, really, aren't you?
Yeah, I suppose as well, if you're knocking people out in sparring, you're probably not getting an invite back.
Yeah, there we go then. But obviously, I'm not saying that would happen. But I mean, like me, like with Dennis, I'll admit he was better. But obviously, I was still catching him. I was still doing things, and it's the first time my coach has said to me, it was almost like I just went, right, come on in, let's go, because I didn't, like, I knew how good he is, and if I didn't do well, he wouldn't want to spar me again.
No, of course. I think to do the sport that you do, you know, and I think to do any combat sport, you need to be mentally tough. You know, we spoke about, you know, you're only 2 fights in. Dennis McCann's 11 fights in, and I would imagine he's probably going to go on and win a world title at some point. So for yourself, early on in your career, you know, you must just go there and just, you know, try and sort of be like a sponge and just soak up as much knowledge as you can.
Of course.
No, absolutely. So in terms of the route you're going down to, you know, we've again spoken, you know, previously. It looks like, you know, you're not holding back, and you're going straight for titles as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's the goal. Obviously, I've got a proper good management team around me. Like my team, even my training team and my management team, they're friends. They talk to each other. They know what the goal is. The division that we're in is not massive. Super flyweight, there's not many, and it's easy to push on. So like obviously, I know that like I really like Jack, and Jack's fighting for the Southern Area title next. But like if I was trying to ask for that fight, not with Jack, I was asking for the Southern Area fight next. But because I didn't have a 6 round under my belt, and because I'd only had one fight, the board wouldn't grant it. So that's why we went to Kazakhstan and done a 6 rounder. So now I've got that under my belt. I can fight for a Southern Area, and then obviously if Jack wins, then unfortunately it have to be Jack. But if Jack doesn't win, then I'll have to go for the winner of that. Hopefully for the full fight.
Yeah, so looking at that, you know, we've actually got Jack coming on again soon to talk about his up and coming Southern Area title fight against Paul Roberts. So on the basis he, you know, all being well for him, he wins that one. He could be looking at potentially defending that against yourself then.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because I really like Jack. We get along well. We've had a good sparring camp together. But like for me, the Southern Area is a stepping stone to get where I need to go, and I need it as soon as possible to push on. So
if we're sitting here in 2 years' time, where would you be looking to be? I know that may be a bit of a difficult question, but you know, how do you sort
for
of...
me, I tell everyone this, whoever I run with a lot of my friends and I go out a lot, and I tell everyone I want to be fighting for European titles within 2 years. I want to be pushing on. Obviously, it's amazing to have a title in itself, but I'm looking beyond all of that. I'm 26. I'll be prime years now. I'm strong, I'm fit, and healthy, and obviously it'll benefit my team massively if I can get there as soon as possible. So that's what the goals are.
Yeah, you know, again, obviously you're very clear, you know, where you're going. So for yourself then, by the end of the year, I suppose from what you're saying, the minimum is Southern Area title.
Yeah, by the end of the year, no doubt. Hopefully, maybe another title.
I'm glad we got you on here early, mate. Give it a couple of years, you really wouldn't respond to me. Talk to me a little bit about your team as well, because you seem to have some good people around you.
Unreal. So
Amazing.
we've got 3 trainers. We've got Will Jones, my head coach, who's the one that come to Kazakhstan with me. I've got John Sparks, who's under Will, and then we've got another trainer called Sonny Upton, who's a very good pro himself. He won a lot of titles. And then we've got some very good pros in our gym. For example, Hara Davis is one of my teammates. We've got Franco Ignatius, who's just turned 2-0 under Frank Warren's show. We've got my friend Sonny Ali, who's 2-0 now under Frank Warren. We've got a few amateur, well, they're waiting for their debuts. We've got a man called Arnold, who's at Repton. He very good. I think he had 18 or 20 fights and only lost 3. Won a few titles as an amateur, so exciting for him. We've got very good girls in our stable. We've got a lady called Dee Allen, and she won a lot of titles as an amateur. She's waiting for her debut. We've got a lady called Kate Radomska. She won her debut. She's ranked 5 in Europe already. And then the female that stands out is Hannah Rankin. She's got 2 world titles currently. So we've got a very good stable, and we've got my team Lee, and they're doing everything they can to get me where I need to be, and I'm very grateful. And obviously the opportunities have come thick and fast. So looking forward to what's next.
What sort of atmosphere is it like at your gym then? Because from you talking about that, I'm sort of getting a bit of a buzz on just hearing about all those good, you know, all those brilliant fighters around you. So for yourself, walking in a gym like that, and you've got so many good fighters, it must be an absolute delight to train around people like that.
Honestly, it's the best place. Like, you speak to my coach or you speak to anyone in the gym, I'm the first one in, I'm the last one to leave. Like, I love being there. It is like my home. I get there, everyone's friendly. Like, you can talk with everyone. You can even go out with everyone, and there's no egos. There's no one's bragging. No one's like, everyone's there to help each other. Everyone's there to support each other. Do for everything. I know everyone wants to support each other. Everyone wants to be successful in that gym. So everyone's going for something.
Everyone's, I suppose, as well, like, you know, like you say, egos are left at the door. Everyone's working towards the same thing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And everyone pushes each other as well. So when you're on the track, like trying to race each other to to be the best. And then like after, everyone's like having pictures and grateful to have that competition to push them to where they need to be.
So when you say, you know, before your fight, sometimes you're training 3 times a day. So when you're in full camp, you know, you're training as hard as you're going to be. Talk to me about like a stereotypical day and what that looks like for you.
So usually it'd be 10 o'clock start in the gym, which is in Romford, Edge Gym. We'll go there. You do 6 rounds of skipping, 6 rounds of shadow, and then you do like a few on the bag. Then you do like 6 rounds of pads with either Will or John or Sonny. Then after the session, you can do a like treadmill session, and then I'll come home. Well, I have my lunch at the gym, and then I'll come home and either go for a bike ride or go for a run, and then I can do the same in the evenings. But usually it'd be twice a day, but sometimes maximum of 3 times. But I've got friends that have started running, so I run with them, just so that you got a bit of company, you don't get bored. Then you can go on another bike ride or go for a long walk. They sometimes help, especially with weight loss. You don't think of it, but like doing a long walk with layers on, it burns a lot of weight without killing energy, sapping your life out of you, which is ideal, especially if you're coming up to the weigh-in. So there's a lot of things in the gym, but on the Saturdays when it's probably the hardest, because for example, Leon sees steps. He's up these massive steps where in near South End, and you have to sprint up them and then walk down them. And me, O'Hara, Sonny, Dee did it a few times, and trying to push each other to do that. Oh, it's absolute killer. But when you've got them people around you, you don't want to look like you're tired. You don't want to look silly, because you look at what, like for example, Hara, what he's achieved is unreal. Especially in 28 fights, he's still pushing now, and he's got a world title coming up. So with people like that, you can only get better, get faster, get fitter, and hopefully follow in his footsteps, you know?
Yeah, that training schedule, mate, it sounds tiring just listening to it. But I completely understand what you're saying. You know, training, especially running, it's a lonely place to be where you're out on your own. So
yeah,
being around other runners, like you say, just, you know, the motivation, it keeps everyone going. You don't want to stop because, you know, ultimately, you know, you're obviously a competitive individual doing the sport that you do, and to be in there and people are trying to, you know, well, the objective is to knock your opponent unconscious. It's brutal. So, you know, that's why obviously you train so hard. So, you know, you are going into these fights. Yeah, because you talk about Odie. He recently fought in Dubai. Was that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Literally about 2-3 weeks before I was fighting, he was fighting in Dubai. He was meant to be fighting for a world title, but unfortunately his opponent visa like 3 days expired or something like that. So he just, luckily there was a man out there training at the same weight, like fight ready, took the fight, and then I think they're pushing for the fight originally with Barossa March, April sort of time for the world title.
Yeah, no, I watched the highlights that, and it looked like an incredible venue. Like, you know, it was obviously a bit of a different sort of atmosphere to what you'd get at somewhere like York Hall, for example.
Yeah.
But what did he say much about it? The whole sort of experience?
Yeah, he said that there was quite a lot of famous people there. It was a secluded environment. Like they had all the cars on show, and then like Anthony Joshua was there. will.i.am. Obviously, they had a few other pros and that. But he said that the environment and the atmosphere and the venue, second to none. However, in England, they're louder. They're more rowdy. But he said out there is like the actual venue is unreal.
Yeah, no, like you say, there's some high profile people. I think, because I saw the AJ interview with Coogan shortly after where he was speaking about step aside money and so on. So yeah, obviously some high profile people there. But I think you're right, mate. I think there's no better fans than the UK fans. Just quickly touching on making weight. We had a former boxer on the channel a little while ago, and he sort of struggled with that, and he was going through some sort of extreme methods to cut weight, sleeping in suits, eating raw mushrooms, nothing else, sitting in saunas for hours. What about yourself? Do you find it quite not easy, but do you find it quite comfortable, or
yeah? See, in amateurs, all the things you were just saying, that's what they tell you to do. like get in a sauna suit, sit in a sauna, do press ups on the floor, get in a van and a duvet and things like that. But as soon as I joined my team I'm with now, they straight away explained to me how to do it, and now I dropped like a kilo a week almost throughout camp, and then that's the goal. So by the time you get to weigh in, you're not drained, you're not almost gonna faint. You're still strong, you're still fit, and straight away you rehydrate, eat your food, get your electrolytes in, and that's why in Kazakhstan, one of the pros that was fighting for a world title, Stephen Ward, we was in the taxi on the way to the venue, and he was all moody, and I was all bubbly and happy. And Jamie Moore said to me, he went, "I've never ever seen a fighter on weigh-in day smiling and laughing." And I was like, "I'm just excited to get weighed in and fight tomorrow." But it's because I do it right now, whereas before I do it all wrong because I've never explained, never shown.
Well, like you say, mate, you're around good people. You're in the pro game now, so you're obviously doing things the right way. But yeah, no, honestly, when he was telling me about making weight, and you're not making weight just to go for a run. You're making weight to go in there with someone that wants to take your head off. And he was saying that he was so exhausted, he actually fell asleep in the changing room before a fight. And he ended up getting an injury, and unfortunately he couldn't sort of get his pro license. But it does amaze me what fighters put themselves through to make weight. I suppose as well it depends on how dedicated you are. If you're not,
of course,
if you're not working as hard as maybe you should have been, maybe then 1 minute you've got 12 weeks to make weight, then all of a sudden it's only a couple of weeks, and if you're not quite been at it. And of course, life gets in the way. There's other things, going on as well. So I suppose it's quite difficult in that respect. How far can you go in the sport?
Personally, I think I can go all the way to the top, to be honest with you. I know how strong I am, and I know how dedicated I am. You ask anyone, they say I train as hard as anyone in the gym. I literally want to achieve everything to make my friends and family proud, and I want to make everyone, like for example, Will, Sonny, John, I want them to be comfortable and happy as well. So I just push in for everything I can. And I don't really see many people hitting as hard as me. I don't see anyone at my weight hitting as hard as me. I've not met anyone that can. Obviously heavier, yeah, but at Superfly, I don't feel like there's many, especially in England. They're it's going to sound horrible, but they're tappers. Like they can hit you with a shot that should hurt you, and it's like nothing, and then you just carry on. But when you go up, like obviously in other countries, I've seen some bangers. For example, in like Mexico, I've seen some bangers. So I'd like to spar people like that to see what they're like first. But I feel like at this weight, European, maybe even world, that's what I want. So I'm just going to push for it and see what happens.
Absolutely, mate. And I feel like you're just obviously incredibly confident, mentally strong, and obviously been sparring with some good fighters. But you know how good you are, and as long as you keep working hard, we wish you all the best on your journey.
Thank you.
No, you're very welcome, mate. I'm glad to get you on. Like I say, I wanted to get you on for a little while. However, before we sort of let you go, I've just got a few sort of additional questions for you, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
So we're early into this year, but just wanted to see what you thought were the best 3 fights last year.
Convosis and Tiffany Lopez.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I love Canelo, so could say any of his fights last year, but I think the one with Smith was very intelligent. He purposely gave him that dead arm. He knew what his best shot was, that catch hook. He knew if he got his arm dead, you're not going to be able to throw it. So I would say that fight, Canelo and Smith. And then
I suppose as well with the Canelo one, I think because he was, favourite going into that one as well, where Kambosos is a bit of a, he was the underdog, wasn't he? I suppose going into that fight.
Yeah, 100%. But Canelo is unreal. Like obviously, everything he does, his training regime, his movement, his strength, his power. With regards to him, I can't put a better fighter from our generation. He's all the way. So I rate Kambosos. I think he's an unreal fighter as well, and a massive underdog. And it was a brilliant upset. but he's a very good fighter. If you follow him before that, he's an unreal fighter. Whereas a lot of people write him off because of the hype of Teofimo Lopez. I think the fight with Lomachenko, it wasn't Lomachenko's night. If it was another day, it would have been Lomachenko's. So for me, it's a difficult situation because that division's on fire. There's a lot of fighters in that division that could give any of them an upset. For example, I rate Haney, Devin Haney. I really like him, but has he got the power? It's hard. Lomachenko, his movement, his feet, his discipline is second to none. If he gets it right, he'll be back on top. But have they? Because he's smaller. Have they got the power to stop him? It's a very, very entertaining division, super lightweight.
No, it is a deep division. A couple of more fights from last year that you particularly liked? Puts you on the spot a little bit.
Yeah. See, Usyk and Joshua, because Usyk himself just showed that he's smaller, but his power and his movement. Big upset because everyone was like, "Oh, Derek Chisora, he couldn't get Derek Chisora out there, so he's not going to get Joshua." But he wobbled him 3 times, big left hands from backhand. His movement just causes problems. So yeah, that was a big fight for me as well.
What do you think about when people say that Joshua should have just gone in there, imposed himself, used his size, used his strength, leaned all over him, and just sort of go back to that Anthony Joshua that was a little bit raw, that went in there? Because for me, when it's his night, he hurts someone. 9 times out of 10 he's going to stop that person. He's clinical, but he seems to be sort of like, I don't know. For me personally, he seems to like sort of caught between two minds when he's fighting. You're a fighter. How tough is it to do that when you're fighting against an opponent that can move so well? Because on that night, he was just, on the move. He didn't stand still. He was all over the place. How tough is that?
Oh, it's so frustrating when you got someone that's a proper good dancer, a good mover, and you can't catch them. It can get the better of you, but you've just got to keep going, keep pushing. And I feel like Joshua, because he gets wobbled a few times, I think since the Klitschko fight, when he got caught with that big hand, he started to shell up a little bit. He's worried about what's coming back. But if you watch him in his first 16 fights or whatever, once he catches someone, he will just go for the kill, unleash. Yeah. But now he's worried about what's coming back. If he goes back to that killer instinct again, maybe I don't know. It's hard. That's why he's trying to change trainer and things. But I think it's all in his head. He's got that one-dimensional style. He's very good with the jabs and his movement, but he's just worried about what's coming back. Whereas if in boxing, there's always going to be something coming back. You could be up against like someone who's not any good, but they can still catch you. So you just got to push through that, fight through that.
Yeah, I feel like it's for me, it's easy for me to say. I sit behind on the couch watching it or whatever. But like you say, sometimes just like maybe just bite down on your gumshoe. You might have to take a couple to get through. But what way do you see the rematch going?
I think Usyk again. To be fair, I know that you're saying he's going to be a different beast. He's done with losing. But Usyk's so clever, and the way he prepared for that first fight, like the sparring and the ring time, like I think he was doing 15 rounds at 40-second rest each round, 4-minute rounds. To do that alone, building up to a fight, just shows. And to do the movement the whole way through, he never once static. It was exactly that. I don't feel like Joshua's got the arsenal to deal with that. Unless he catches him with some massive shot, but I don't feel like he will be able to.
I don't know if you would agree with this either, but I feel like sometimes where you look at like someone like Tyson Fury, for example, because when he gets in that ring, because he's arguably one of the best fighters, of this era, he is so comfortable and relaxed. He's not, that's why he's able to, have such good engine, because he is so relaxed. Yeah. When you look at like Joshua, for example, and obviously coming off the back of, you know, a defeat now, and even before that, because sometimes he seems like a little bit tense. You know, that's quite exhausting to fight like that.
Yeah, of course, it's a massive mental block. If you haven't got the clear mindset, you've already got barriers up, and you've got to try and push through them barriers while you're fighting, which is like a no go. You need to get that all out. Like, obviously, everyone gets nervous, but I feel like when watching him, some of them rounds, he looked like he didn't even want to be there. He's thinking, "Oh, when's it over?" You could see it in his face, and no matter what happens, soon as that, like, even my last fight, I was nervous because I didn't have friends and family there. But as soon as I got in the ring, I forgot about everything. It was just me and him. Like, I didn't see the cameras. I didn't see the people cheering. I could only hear my coach Will shouting things, and I was trying to listen to him. But other than that, it's just you and that person. Everything goes, and you've just got to get the job done. So with him, you could see that you could see his eyes, you could see it in his face. Everything was gone. He was looking at the ring because he was like what am I gonna do? You can't have that mentality.
Do you feel though, now he has lost a couple of times, it's easier to accept now?
I feel like it's very hard for him because he's brought massive fan base, and he's got a massive fan base, and everyone expects him to always win or pull through. But I feel that that's what also hurts him, because they all want him to succeed. And if he doesn't succeed, he's letting all them. It feels like he's letting all them people down. So he's already got a massive weight on his shoulders before he even gets in the ring.
Yeah, no, of course. It's obviously, you know, I suppose on the flip side as well, you know, people often neglect how good Usyk was on the night. But, you know, take nothing away from Anna Joshua, obviously Olympic gold medalist. You know,
yeah, of course.
Even, you know, we won world title. I think it was on his 16th fight, 17th fight, sold at Wembley Stadium. You know, it'd be nice to see him, you know, sort of get back, you know, well, win the rematch, and then, you know, create an absolute massive fight against Tyson Fury. I think that's, you know, that's the fight everyone wants.
That's what everyone wants to see. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it would be incredible, wouldn't it? You know, to be at that fight. I think by all accounts, though, it's going to end up in Saudi Arabia, because that's all.
Saudi Arabia.
What about this year? You know, we're only on the 3rd of January, but a few fights you'd like to see?
I'd like to see Kambosis and Lemachenko and Devin Haney, one of them two, or the winner of one to fight the other. Because obviously I like that division. I follow that division. Yeah. There's a few people that I'd like to see. I'd like to see Ijaz Ahmed and Casey Kennedy fight for the British title again, because obviously they're in my division. They've fought twice now, so I'd like to see who wins the third one, so I can sort of get my eyes set on another prize. So yeah, it'd be a good fight to people see. Up. Yeah, that's exactly it. I've sparred that Casey. He was my first spar just as I was turning over, and he was getting ready for his 12-round fight, whereas I was getting ready for a 4-round fight. But even him and his coach complimented me and said that I can be a future champion. So sparring someone that's already at that level gave me a massive confidence boost to see what I can do in this division as well. So sparring Casey was massive, but unfortunately, after his fight with Ijaz, he got injured. So I haven't sparred him since, but I think he's just had an operation, and I know he's in recovery now, so he should be fighting for the title soon. So hopefully I can get a few more rounds in with Casey.
How important is it, though, for yourself? You know, you seem like someone that, you know, won't let complacency creep in, but, you know, when you've got a lot of people telling you sort of, you're going to go far, how important is it for you to, as much as it's nice to hear that, but just to keep your nut down, working hard, don't let any complacency creep in, to do all the good things that you've been doing to get you where you are now?
I feel like if you ask my mum, I tell her all the time, for me, as a pro, if you lose, it's almost, I know this is going to sound silly, but for me, if I lose, it's over, because I'm so early on. I said to Mum, if I lose this fight, I've got to stop, because I know where I want to be. I know where I've got to go. So these are all stepping stones. Like don't get me wrong, the Southern Area title is a big title, but for me, that's a baby title. I just want that to push me for the next step. So obviously I want it, and that's why I want it as soon as possible, so I can go on to the next title, the next step. So for me, the complacency is until I'm finished. I just got to keep going, be the best I can, improve every day. I'm getting taught and shown things by my trainers that we're repeating to get the process correct. There was a few shots in that fight in Kazakhstan. Me and my coach trained for weeks. We was training, even in the week out there, we was training on it, and then pulled it off in the gym. And now, since we've been back, we're already practicing another combination for the next fight. So there's always things you can learn. There's always things you can improve on, and we're doing it every day.
I love that honesty though, because you could easily come in here and just sit on the fence and just say, I want to take one step at a time, one fight at a time, and then we just keep reviewing. But you want to win the Southern Area title. You respect that title. However, there's you want to achieve bigger things in the sport.
Yeah, 100%.
Just before I let you go, then, mate, anyone you'd like to thank? Sponsors, coaches?
Yeah. I'd like to thank my team. Like, obviously, everything they're doing with me and everything they're doing for me, it's not unnoticed, 100%. We've got 2 current sponsors on board, which is TV Heating Services, which is one of my old friends I used to do javelin with in football. He's a plumbing company, so I've got him on board. And then I'd like to say thank you to one of my other sponsors, which is Bombers Calf, one of the best calves he's the best calf in Thurrock. So if you ever in Thurrock, come for that. But obviously, and thank you to Lee and massive my manager. So a massive thank you to everyone that's on my team, and then we're going for more.
And where can people come and find you, mate? Obviously, I know you're on Instagram. I'll take it on Facebook, Twitter, all the other social media outlets.
Yeah, that's literally it. Instagram and Facebook, to be honest. I don't really deal with anything else, but I'm always posting and always sharing, updating everyone what I'm doing. So yeah.
Ever thought of a YouTube channel?
I feel like I know Prince Patel's got one and things like that, but I feel like it takes up too much time, and I'm not very confident in myself. Unless I'm talking to someone like you, I'm okay. But if it was on myself, I get a bit weird.
No, I think sometimes listening back to yourself, I have to do it for obvious reasons, and it can be a little bit cringy.
Yeah,
but mate, you've got a good story. You tell it well, but it can be quite time consuming. I think with modern sort of social media, I think you've got a decent following, and you're only 2 fights in, so you obviously just do what you feel like you can manage with. But yeah, so far so good, mate. But listen, once if that fight happens with Jack Hughes, I'd love to get you on here at the same time. That I think that could get quite tasty. And some point
See, I don't think we'd argue or anything. I like Jack. I get along with him really well. And when he first messaged me, I did say that I was already keeping tabs on him because I knew what he was doing, because he asked for sparring, and I think he said he wants to use me for his next fight anyway. So I think we're friends. We are friends. We talk, but it's a business, and at the end of the day, that's the next step after this fight. Hopefully, maybe if my team can arrange it, full fight. I don't know how. I think we're fighting at very similar times, so I don't know how long he has to hold the belt until he can defend it. I have no doubt that he'll beat Paul Roberts. I don't know Paul Roberts, and I don't know him to be horrible to him, but I feel like I watched his Reece Taylor fight. I don't like the way he leaves his jab hand low. Like, he has this, even though he's got the style to do it, he has it low. He's prone for a backhand. Reece caught him with 2 of them, dropped him the first time. I think he did drop him, but the ref said it was he fell, but I believe it was a drop. And then the second time it happened, he got the standing count. So I feel like Jack's got a similar style to me. So I feel like he will get Paul. I don't know if he'll stop him, because I think Paul's a bit taller. I'm not sure if he's taller, but I don't think he'll stop him. But I feel Jack will beat him. Jack's got a better engine. I think he'll get him out. Like, he'll do the job, and then we'll see what Jack's saying, and hopefully we can get on.
You can get it on, yeah. Maybe towards the end of the year, mate. But yeah, no. Regardless, it'd be good to get you on. And mate, at some point as well, we'd love to come, sort it out, come to the gym, do something face to face.
Yeah, of course.
yeah, if that's something you're happy with. And anyone else, obviously, that you train with, love to get them on.
Yeah, yeah. There's loads of people in there. They'll all be up for it. Everyone. We have a few other people come in and do the same thing. So yeah, no, they'll be up for that, and my trainers will be up for that too.
Yeah, no, 100%, mate. Well, listen, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Really enjoyed talking to you and just finding out, more about you. Again, we wish you all the success going forward, and hopefully it won't be too long before we get you back on.
Thank you, mate. Thank you for having me on, and same good luck to you as well.
No, absolute pleasure, mate. Have a good night.
And you. See you later, mate.